Hey everyone, Wesley from Impeccabrew MHA here, and I'm with my friend Damdiel, who just placed in the top 16 of the last provisional. He wanted to go over one of his games. He had a very specific turn against Denki Kaminari, where he felt like he maybe should have done something different on blocks and defense, and we wanted to go in depth and show how him and I view playing defense and some of the minutia that goes into making certain decisions and go over maybe what he should have done with the knowledge that he had. So right here we have all of the cards in all of the attacks that are in Denki's deck at the time this turn takes place. And what do we have in your hand, Damdol?
Yeah, so thanks, Wesley. So I draw up for turn following Dinky's once per game kill attempt, and I'm really looking to aggress into him. He only has two cards in hand, and I know that they're both foundations because he didn't play them to try and kill me on the following turn, where the previous
Yeah.
turn. Um, so I draw these four cards, and I feel like I made two clear errors this turn and one potential mistake. So the first potential mistake was not going for a poke. I looked at this hand and determined there wasn't a point in aggressing with, for example, double highs into his board because he had this short circuit up. So my
Mm-hmm.
frog lashing wasn't going to do too much, even though I had the potential to draw more gas off the Exciter for blood.
Yeah.
I just felt like it was too difficult to aggress into this board, and it was somewhat readied. It was mostly readied
Mm-hmm.
at the end of his turn. So I decided to play Foundations. And when looking at the cards left in his deck, he's gone through almost all of his lows at this point. And I know pretty much the attack lineup that he's playing at this point because it's game three. And we had a long game two. So I got to see most of his deck.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I know for sure I'm playing the Passing the Torch because it
Yeah.
gives me the opportunity to draw more cards, and then I have two of each zone. But
Yep.
when I'm considering what I'm worried about, I decide that I'm most scared of a pummel or a jolt getting fast since he has three momentum. And I
Yeah.
choose mistakenly, I feel, to play the Someone with Style over the Amphibious.
Yep.
Alright, so this is the first big mistake. Because when you look at the breakdown, it's pretty clear that I need to be holding. He's going to be drawing six cards on his next turn, because he's going to be discarding one, and then drawing six, so I can expect him to draw about 1 to 4 attacks. So I need to be prepared to survive 1 to 4 attacks. And these are not necessarily lethal. I can take a hit from a mid. The combination with lift does make it more difficult. There's a lot more scenarios where I get accidentally blown up because I take an attack.
Yeah.
But what I really need to be worried about are these flash attacks and perfect blocking them without the assistance of the wall cling on the first one.
Yeah. And you
So,
almost have to take the double jab pummel. You really can't afford to be blocking that unless it's lethal. I mean, even with
mm,
even with zero gravity lift, worrying about that, it's
right.
like you're just giving him opportunities to draw into more attacks.
Yeah, one thing is that unless he draws into another double jab pummel specifically, since he has used his once per game already, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about him resetting progressive, and he doesn't have easy ways to clear his card pool
Mm-hmm.
with him and Ready Amphibious because
Yeah.
he has zero gravity. He doesn't have a zero gravity lift in
Yeah,
momentum.
and his
But
momentum. Yeah. I mean, he does
yeah,
have 10 foundations out though. That will
right.
get you pretty far into an attack string.
Yeah, and pseudo 11 because he can defensively or offensively rather release and
Yep.
then ready small number.
Yeah, small number is a
Um,
really good card on offense and defense.
yeah. But anyway, so I go into the turn
Mm-hmm.
and I play these two and pass.
Gotcha.
Um, he reviews one, draws up for turn, and he leads. Yeah, he leads with a home run comment. And then through making it powerful two, discarding the momentum that he generates off of it, and then using small limber, he brings
Mm-hmm.
it up to lethal because I'm a 7.
Yep.
So I'm forced to block.
Yep.
So my second big mistake. Oh, and by the way, I draw the high value target off my
Okay.
passing torch on this attack.
Yep.
Um, normally, I feel like this may signal that you don't have a high block, and you might want to not do it to keep them from extending into you. But I've been aggressively using my passing the torches the whole match, so I don't feel like it's giving too much information away.
Yeah.
Um, so my second big mistake, I feel like defensively, was not wall clinging this attack. because
Mhm.
I'm forced to block this attack. Once
Yeah.
I block, I don't have walk link for the rest of the turn, and these mid blocks are only going to be enough to perfect block a mid attack, which is significantly less of.
That's true, and you
So
also can't use wall cling on any of his flash attacks either.
actually, I know that if I walk like this, I can still live through the turn.
Mm-hmm.
I can use the amphibious, use rescue completed to minus speed. He'll commit one after the
Mm-hmm.
fact, but it doesn't really matter too much.
Yep.
And I can continue into the turn with a high block for a flash attack or another Homer Comet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be concerned about lifts because I have you can block them with mid or high, so
Yeah.
really just need to worry about these.
The other home runs, yeah, and the
Right.
chaining together a couple of. I mean, you pretty much knew that he didn't have specialized sound waves. Otherwise, he would
Mm.
not have wasted the momentum to make it powerful. He probably would have just saved
Well,
the momentum, or at least that's what I would have done if I had a specialized sound wave. I would
that's
have.
actually a good line. He did not. Yeah, that's a good line.
Did
He
he have
didn't
a specialized
find
sound wave?
that line. He did have a specialized sound waves.
Oh,
Wait, no, he
okay.
did not. I'm sorry. No, he did
Okay.
not. He
Oh,
checked.
okay.
He checked
He
one
checked
as his
one.
for
Okay.
his first attack.
Gotcha. I was gonna say
Yeah.
that would have been a dead giveaway. I mean, just
Right.
because I play so much Giro, I know the interactions between those two cards very well. But that's for sure what I would have done if I had a specialized sound waves. And him using the
Yep.
powerful there definitely shows that he doesn't have specialized sound waves, which sort of you know the only way that you die in that case is probably from another home run. So what happened
Yep.
after this?
He played another home run.
Yep.
Yep. And
Yep.
so after the first attack, I blocked it
Uh-huh.
with someone's style. He committed walkling,
Yeah, he committed
which I didn't use.
Uh-huh.
Right. He goes into the second one. And I know here I'm not in a great position. I actually call out the lift
Mm-hmm.
uh, as something to be worried about. What I say is, should I use my faith shield on the lift or on this one? I'm not sure.
You said that out loud?
Yeah, I said that out loud.
You tried to bait him.
But he just goes for it. He says, I feel like I'm forced to do this anyway.
Yeah.
And he brings this up to 7 as well.
Uh-huh.
And
And you have block.
I have block with the frog lashing
Uh-huh.
and breaker him. Then, because he feels like he's forcing this line, this is the last attack in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
He plays this. He checks an attack. I believe it was a jolt. And so that will bring him down to 3 foundations.
Mm-hmm.
After the rest of the checks. I feel like I had another opportunity for speech play here. Or it could have been like, oh yeah, so you can't pass another attack, right? Before he decided to actually commit out for it. To try and make him think that he's going to have to play defense and that committing out will be instant death, and maybe there's a chance he feels it. It's a very small chance, but
this is definitely a line you could take to do that. However, any experienced player is going to put any information that you're giving him right in the garbage. I've literally never once listened to my opponent's banter during a game.
I would not try something like that versus somebody who I played before, but because this is the first time that I was playing this opponent, he said it's the first time that he's been in tops. I feel like it was worth attempting it.
Yes.
Even
take advantage of his naivete. I got it.
Yeah. Not that he was bad. He attacked pretty aggressively.
Yeah. No, I mean he's in tops.
But anyway. So at this point, I'm just dead on board.
Yeah.
He did make a mistake. In case I did have a Faith Shield to block this, he committed his release, which stopped him from being able to ready his Spawn Lipper, because he had 3 left over, and if he had, for example, committed something else, he could blow this up, ready release, and then play another 5 diff.
Did he have
on a 5?
Did he have? I mean,
pass
he may or may not have had one in hand, but.
Yeah, I don't think he necessarily did have one in hand, but also it's just better to leave up release just in case he lives.
Think about it.
Yeah, it's just a good card. So
yeah, for sure.
He
was probably just in do or die mode. This is it, like Hail Mary play.
Absolutely.
Especially since you were baiting him with the Faith Shield.
But even if he did have a hand with a mid attack in it, I have the opportunity to still
live
the third one.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
So obviously you have to use the walk link first. Was it maybe like in the
mhm.
heat of the moment you thought that he would commit something else, or did you forget that he could, target your walkling for committing, or like did you think maybe he was like, oh, he's gonna go for my, rescue completed
Mm.
to slow down my speed aid, or was it just a sort of a lapse?
Yeah, I think it was the last. It was a pretty big blunder because I did consider it,
Uh huh.
right? Like it's like I considered playing the second someone style and
Mm-hmm.
chose wrong like consciously both times.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I
if you
think
choose
that
correctly at either point there, you probably
right,
live.
right, and I think that what I was feeling in the moment was I was not considering the gravity lift third. Actually, I only started to consider it once you played the second high, and then I was running through the possibilities of things that I could not defend against with my
Mm-hmm.
hand,
Mm-hmm.
and I landed on the gravity lift. So I think that the problem was I didn't consider this enough in advance. Like I was thinking about the second attack and if it would be a big deal to have the walk link committed,
Mm-hmm.
or if I would rather have two rescue completeds up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for something like
Most of his attacks are
I don't
very
know
low speed.
something faster.
You really don't. He doesn't have anything really that really helps against. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you're 100% correct too.
so the speed hate's not as
But
important. But
yeah, I think that I was maybe concerned about like a larger string of attacks that matched my block zone
mm-hmm.
and wanting to just leave up the most possible, but that was a bit greedy.
Yeah,
And yeah, ended up costing me.
yeah. Well, we live and learn. That's definitely something to keep track of, is what your opponent's capable of, how they're capable of interacting with you and your game plan, your defensive game plan. The holding the blocks in hand is one of the hardest parts of this game. Knowing when to attack, when not to attack, and what to play, what not to play, in order to hold up the correct blocks is definitely one of the hardest parts of this game. Definitely one of the things that um, that would have helped here is realizing that you don't need all these lows, and that
Mm.
can use walkling to, if you had thought like, oh, I can use walkling if I'm worried about a mid attack, I can use walkling and a low to block it, and then so you
Hmm.
could have played out the amphibious instead of the other high block in this specific, say, scenario. Hindsight's 2020, but
Mm.
yeah, it's always good to look back on these things, and obviously, I definitely know that you're one of the players that goes back over their plays with a fine tooth comb. And that's definitely a strength, and definitely going back over there. There's always a lesson to learn. Every time you lose, there's always something you did wrong. I never listen to the players who are like, "Oh, I just got unlucky." You always make mistakes. There's nobody out here playing this game perfectly. There's so many decision points. It's impossible to play it to optimize like that.
Yeah, and this is where I would start with my study sessions. When I go more in depth, what I'll try to do is just build out as many combinations of 3 and 4 attack hands as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and then try and analyze like the percentage of hands that each hand I keep is good against. But
Mm-hmm.
what I would love input on from anyone who's kind enough to give it is on whether anyone would poke with one of these 3 attacks
Mm-hmm.
going into that turn. Just the reason that I chose not to was to not give a free review.
Yeah, that's
But
definitely a consideration.
yeah, but there's also the chance to draw off the excited for blood and give more flexibility.
Yeah. So it depends on if he thinks. Is he at 20 in this scenario? Like he's actually at 20 health?
Yeah, he was at 20 health. I had not attacked yet.
Yeah. There's definitely a chance that he thinks that if you just throw out something small, you throw out the instant shining flash. Like, I'll just take 4 here. Like, you don't want to block that. You want to block tongue whips. You want to block frog lashings. And he's only got 2 cards in hand. So I don't know. I think, me personally, I would have probably thrown out instant shining flash just to see what happens and maybe get that extra card draw off of excited for blood. If it depends on if you were conscious of the low blocks in your hand being dead or not. Because
Right.
if you're like, this is definitely a useless card, I can use one of these max, and potentially turning it into something else with Excited for Blood is definitely good. The free review is a risk, but I mean, it's the difference of 6 versus 7 cards that he gets to see because he gets one review anyway, and he's probably too scared to block the first attack, I think. But I mean, that it could go either way. Honestly, I don't think that decision point is one that comes into play too much here.
Yeah, I would love just to hear
Hmm.
more thoughts and feelings on that, though.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Let us know in the comments, or if you want to reach out any other way. What would you have poked? What foundations would you have built? Um, this was definitely a hard turn, and surviving like this when you're down to the wire is always tricky. So, but yeah. Is there
Yeah,
anything
it
else
looks a
you
lot
wanted
easier
to?
in retrospect. Maybe I should have slept like 1 more hour.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Damdel?
No, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Well, that's going to do it for this. Let us know if you like these in-depth reviews like this. I don't normally do stuff like this for my own plays, but I know Damdel does. And we could always go over some of my last turns too, if this is something that anyone wants to see. So thanks for coming on and sharing this, Damdel, and
Thank you.
definitely good luck in any of your next tournaments.
Yeah, good luck in Orlando.
Thank you. All right, next time.